So the next section that we're going to look at is heteronormativity, and we're going to see how the media is now starting to challenge this portrayal. So heteronormativity, if you don't know what the term means, is the idea that heterosexuality is basically the norm. The idea that a man has to be with the woman and any other relationships beyond that are not correct. And this is something that is starting to change. This is something that, if you remember, we talked at the beginning when we said male and female are placed into biological categories. But then we said that this is not very simple because sometimes people do not fit into these categories. So this very simplistic idea of heteronormativity is now becoming more and more challenged. So this is because not everybody identifies themselves as a male or as a female. They might want to project different kinds of identities. It should be noted that there are intersex people being born who are not really fitting into the biological characteristics of a male or a female. There are other people who identify themselves as gender neutral. There are other people who identify themselves as gender fluid, and they move across the different spectrum of gender. And also there are other people who identify themselves as genderless. So it is becoming very, very difficult to assign people into male and female categories, and therefore this idea of heteronormativity is becoming more and more challenging these days. Now, quite interestingly, we see that the media is actually catching up with this development, becoming more aware about challenging the ideas of heteronormativity. So what we're going to see now is a couple of examples from media text, but also a couple of advertisements which start to challenge ideas of heteronormativity. Just to continue with the magazines that we previously looked at, we're going to look at these examples from Cosmopolitan. In this case, as you can see, diversity is represented in terms of sexuality in Cosmopolitan, the cover of Cosmopolitan. We can see, for instance, Jonathan Van Ness, who is the American hairdresser. He's also an activist, he's a television personality, and he is best known for his grooming expert on the Netflix series Queer Eye, and also he did a parody series Gay of Thrones. We see also on the front cover of the Cosmopolitan magazine RuPaul, who is considered to be the most successful drag queen in the United States. He has produced and hosted the reality competition series RuPaul's Drag Race since 2009, and he has received Primetime Emmy Awards for this series. So what we see here is that magazines are starting to promote different kinds of sexualities in the front of their magazines. The next example that we're going to see is an advertisement, which you can see here. Now, this advertisement was part of Lloyds Bank advertising in 2016 campaign. The whole campaign was basically entitled Your Next Step, and it was actually showing what the bank can do in order to help people move into the next step of their lives. It had diverse people. So one of the people that were featured in this advertisement was this same-sex couple in the middle of a wedding proposal. Now, this particular one, the one of the same-sex couple, actually received an award, was shortlisted and received an award in the top 10 brands and marketing campaigns. And as a result, it was placed in many parts across the UK, so either in big billboards or advertisement in roads and trains and buses and so on. Now, if we pay a close attention to the image and the language that is used in this particular advertisement, we can see that an image of two men hugging. And this image is basically accompanied by a short text at the top of the sign in large letters and wide font, which basically says, "He said yes," suggesting that the marriage proposal was successful. Now, what is important about this advertisement is that it pushes boundaries into challenging this kind of heteronormative stereotypes and promoting same-sex marriage in a more positive, in a very open-minded way. So also, the other thing that it does, it somehow normalizes this kind of relationship. And this is the power of the media. So the more we see this kind of advertisements or media texts that are actually portraying this kind of relationship, the more visible they become into our daily lives, then this kind of relationships, they become more normalized, more accepted in the wider public. So the next example that we're going to see, which is in kind of a similar pattern as the one that we've seen before, is this one, which is basically an advertisement from the Body Shop. As you can see, when we look at the visual aspects of this image, is that we see two women hugging, similarly to the previous one that we saw, and the text on this particular one says, "Make love, not war, with sensitive skin." So we see quite interestingly how the wordplay is working also with the image in order to promote the ideology that this kind of relationships are becoming more and more normalized.